20 seconds.
Welcome. Good evening, good evening. It is Sunday night, and you are tuned in to Street Soldiers Radio with your host, the one and only Dr. Joseph E. Marshall Jr.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann. Good evening, Street Soldiers, wherever you are, Thanks for tuning in, tuning in, live and free Street Soldiers Radio. Always ready to put a little music and save a lot of lives. That's what we do. We're trying to make it good in your neighborhood. We're just trying to make it good for you. We really trying to keep you alive and free in these just insane times. I mean, it's just I ain't seen nothing like it. I've been around for a while. I ain't seen nothing like this because it's coming from the top down. I don't see a lot of community stuff. I don't see a lot of neighborhood stuff, but I ain't never seen insanity like this. But here we are. Got a great, very, very relevant topic for you tonight. So when I tell you to call in, please do. Want to take as many calls as we can. It's going to be good. It's going to be informative. We are here to inform and bring you the truth. Good evening, Ann. Good evening, Michael.
Hey.
Good evening, Soul Lady is not with us this evening. So before we let's get Halloween out the way. Let's get Halloween out the way. How was Halloween? What were you? What did you? I know Michael was dressed as Michael. Okay, I already know it. He said that last week. Yeah, all right. Nothing special. Soul, how'd it go for you? Did you do Frederick Douglass or Rick James? Or I've seen you in various costume apparel before.
Yes, you have. This year I went. No, I didn't end up doing the whole Frederick Douglass. I wanted to do a little comedy, so I went to the movies and I came as Austin Powers, if you know the character. And
Austin Powers.
Yeah, I had the blue suede with the ruffles, the glasses, and yeah, behave now, all that stuff. I was in character, all that stuff, and then my wife was with me, so we were matching. She was the Vanessa from the movies too.
Oh, wow.
We went out and she was looking good, and I was just Austin Powers, and so yeah, we people was loving our get up.
Did you do any shagging?
Well, I mean, we don't speak on all things now, do we? But it is my wife, okay?
Well, that's why I was safe to ask that.
Okay. But it was cool. We was out at the Factory Bar in Richmond, California. Had a good time. Had DJ there, and then I've been eating candy all weekend. I mean, I must have 30 Kit Kats. Because what happened is I bought all the candy and then we didn't get any trick-or-treaters, so it was all at the house. So me and my son, that bowl is right by the door. Every time you walk by, yeah.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have to detox.
It's almost gone now, so it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over quick. Yeah, but Halloween was cool. What about you, Ann? Did you dress up?
Yes. We did our let's see, we went out to Glen Park, so they shut down the whole kind of like 5 blocks, and they just have all these families, people, anybody, dogs get to come out and trick-or-treat with each of the houses, and they're just handing out, and it was like safe and fun, and you definitely have to keep your eyes on the kids. Like that was really hard. We had 8 adults and 6 kids, and it was constant like, wait, okay, like counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were 6. So we had a Cookie Monster and a cookie. We had a Toothless the dragon and me, just a Viking. We had a hippie and a vampire and Tafiti from Moana and somebody from, I don't know, she was purple and with hair. I don't know. It was cute. It was fun.
People had Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, folks love Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean,
some people are really creative with the costumes.
Grown folks love Halloween. Yeah. I mean, if you in the city, you're gonna see some Halloween stuff.
Oh, some people are so creative.
Everyone participated. It's that, like brings us together in a way.
Hey, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Even though I was Austin Powers, some people thought I was our forefathers. Some people call me Liberace. and then and then people kept coming up to me and singing Prince songs because I guess they thought I was Prince. So somehow I had like 4 different costumes in one.
Little red Corvette. Okay. Purple Rain. Hey man, that's pretty cool though. All good. Yeah, I never did that. When he was little, I didn't do costume. Nah, and I was teaching school. They would say, the teachers got to come and go. Nah. One time I put on I don't know, some baseball jersey. So I'm an athlete. That's about the closest I did. That's it.
Hey.
Nah.
Well, now that the fun is over,
Yeah.
we got something serious happening in a couple days, y'all, and that is November 4th, which is
Right.
election day, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big deal.
Good time. Serious. One measure on the ballot.
I was gonna say if you was ever gonna fill out a ballot,
One measure on the ballot. Well, look, I did it. I'm gone. It's in.
this one is not hard.
I ain't playing on this one. I ain't playing. Speaking of not playing, a bunch of news. So you got some news. Let me find yours. Let's see from Malcolm Marshall. And we'll talk more about this particular item in our conversation. ICE reportedly boosting surveillance on social media to counteract resistance. All right, they have reportedly expanded its social media surveillance program. And of course, civil liberties advocates are sounding the alarm that just moves to stretch far beyond tracking undocumented immigrants. They are really trying to say, you're trying to find out who ain't with you so you can persecute them. And I would not be surprised. So an AI-powered monitoring system has been designed to enforce immigration law. We will see cost $5.7 million. All right, this platform, which the agency claims helps to identify threats, but of course, that's probably not the only thing that it is trying to do.
I mean, we're not gonna believe the version that he tells us.
Oh, heck.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. We'll talk about that in tonight's topic. Illinois deputy found guilty of murder in the shooting of Sonia Massey. Black woman calling 911 for help. A jury on Wednesday convicted an Illinois sheriff of second-degree murder.
Wow.
All right, in the shooting of Sonia Massey. A black woman who called 911 to report a suspected prowler. He could be sentenced up to 20 years in prison. Okay. Let's see. Anyway, I didn't want to go through that. Grayson and another deputy arrived at Massey's home in Springfield, Illinois, early on the morning of July 6, 2024. After she reported a prowler, he shot the 36-year-old woman after confronting her about she was handling a pot of hot water. Not a gun now. Not a gun. Pot of hot water, she had received from her stove. All right. They feared that she would scald him with the hot water, a gun against the hot water. Okay, anyway, so he is been convicted. Right? He's been convicted.
First step in justice being served, but let's wait to the sentencing.
We always love that.
Let's wait to the sentencing.
Yes, sir. Got to get the conviction first. First, you got to get the trial, right? And
Yes,
you got to
you're
get
right.
the conviction. And you got to get the sentencing. And that has not always happened.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Hurricane Melissa death toll rises to 28 in Jamaica. I guess it could have been worse because I heard this hurricane was as bad or worse than Katrina. That's what I had read. I don't know. But still, 28 deaths is 28 deaths. All right. Communities on the west portion of the island had seen the worst of the destruction. All right. The Red Cross says that 92% of people across Jamaica still do not have electricity, and around 6,000 are in emergency shelters. Okay.
Prayers up for Jamaica. We love you. We love y'all.
Love Jamaica. Jamaica. All right. ICE, excuse me. Let me get this straight. Food benefits are set to end for nearly 42 billion people beginning, I guess, tomorrow?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
November 1st.
insane. Insane. Not benefits for 42 million people, right? And that speaks for itself. I don't even have to read anymore, because Congress is shut down. I mean, the government won't reopen. 42 million people. Wow. Yeah, only in only in America.
When they say like the people aren't, that sometimes you run out of food by the end of the next, time that you get paid. So just to think about all the people that, aren't, I don't know, just without, it's really heartbreaking.
It's
I
crazy.
just
No
think,
need.
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
they, I mean, they're saying if you'd like to give or donate, money is number one because that helps the food service people to get the foods that these people need. They know the prices and things like that, and that would be the best gift. The others would be just to donate food, and I think really just you know put yourself in other people's shoes, treat each other equally because it can really happen to anybody. This isn't, and then it's going to affect everything else. Like
But what's ironic is that a lot of people who are not voting to open the
yeah,
government,
yeah,
it's affecting their states, their constituencies more than others.
yeah,
And then how you going to explain? Well, they'll try. They'll double talk, double blame the other side, but it's your constituents.
yeah,
You know,
But
they're hungry. They want to eat.
yeah,
this is
That's
an
all.
example of something that just make you hate all politicians in general
Oh,
because
please.
it's like y'all
Absolutely.
supposed to get this done. This is your job.
It's your job, and you get paid.
yeah.
Although I heard something, they're gonna stop paying them too. Maybe that'll get them to do it. I don't know. You never. There's so much mess. That's why we try and get this. And if you didn't think that America is only for certain people, Michael, according to the man currently in the White House, I just want you to know that the U.S. will beginning, I guess, next year, will limit the number of refugees to just 7,500. 7,500. It was 125,000 previously, and they will give priority to, hey, black folks. No.
Wow.
to well, I don't even know what to say, right? And I got to come up with two, but I'll just tell you the answer to white South Africans. He's already done that, but now he's saying, look, we only gonna let white South Africans in the country, and y'all think we crazy. Y'all think we crazy. I mean, look,
Wow.
no, we ain't crazy. He just said so again. Yeah. All right. Well, all right. So I think that's good enough for.
Oh, there was some good news.
Oh yeah,
The
you
one I
did have
sent you on
good
the phone
news.
about the
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders organization came up, I think the number was $250,000 to help rebuild the football field over at Concord at Mount Diablo High School in Concord.
That is
And
nice.
that was a great thing. I think this, if I
That's nice.
remember correctly, right before the season started, there was a fire or some vandalism and the field was all messed up right before the first game.
Yeah.
And the school district just don't have an extra 250. So that was great for the Raiders to come through like that.
That
Wow.
is nice for the Raiders. That's
Great for the students. I know they're happy. I know they're ready to ball on their
Yeah.
home field.
Yeah, well, the Raiders season's not going well, so I'm glad they still
Hey,
think
maybe
about the people.
Mount Diablo can win the
Yeah.
games for them.
Mount Diablo. And the teams that play there can win some games. Thank you to it's still so hard to say this still, the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'll just say the Raiders. The Raiders. All right, let me tell you what we're talking about tonight. And I said, I said last week we'll do a show on immigration and ICE. We're showing immigration and ICE. We got a couple of people who are going to help us with this discussion. We're going to bring them in. We're going to take phone calls. We're going to try to answer any and all questions that you have during this first hour. Tough but necessary topic because ICE is here, as they say. ICE is HERE, or they were reputed to be here, or they are hovering around here, or whatever and whatever and whatever. But we're gonna answer all questions that we can about immigration, about the and about ICE, and maybe reveal some things that you don't really know because you never really know what's really going on. So once again, to join us in this conversation is Monica Howell and Dennis Perez. Bravo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You were here last time. You blew it up. I got calls. They were great. They were this, and let me just say something. Y'all are willing to just like come on and confront it. I really admire both of you for that. So before, why don't we just start with quick introduction. Just say what you do, and then we'll start. We'll just plunge into it. I got a few things I want to say first, and then let's go for it. Michael, let's start with you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me again. My name is Monica Oka Howell, and I'm a senior associate immigration attorney with Stouffer Law based in Berkeley.
She speaks so well. Sound like a lawyer voice. You sound like a lawyer. She's straight to the point. Yes. All right, Dennis, you go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. And I'm Dennis Perez Bravo. I'm a multimedia journalist here in Richmond, California, and also a youth organizer locally.
All right. I love truthful reporting
Yeah.
because the stuff we get now. Oh Lord, I love reporting. So let's cut to it. ICE I don't know if they're here, they're not here. They were supposed to be here. It's supposed to be something. So the last that I've heard, and I haven't heard anything else as far as San Francisco is concerned. Trump backed off federal deployment in San Francisco after Wang, I don't know his first name, and Benioff, I think is that Stephen Benioff?
Mark Benioff.
Mark Benioff, and the mayor, Daniel Lurie. The rich people had a confab. Can I say that? Can I say? The rich people got on the phone and talked to each other. I mean, poor people like me and you can't go listen to it anyway. And I guess they had a nice conversation. And Mr. Trump said, well, okay, if you ask me not to do it, I won't do it. And if that was easy, I'll just have to get a bunch of money, Monica, and then maybe that'll be what happened. Unfortunately, there's only a few people in the world like that, and of course, he loves them.
Yeah.
And so that's what the state of it was, I guess, a week ago. I don't know if that's the state now because you can never. What he says really doesn't hold much water. And then in where was it? Oakland, we got a statement from, let's see, Mayor Lee. I had it right here somewhere. All right. Oh, anyway, what did she say? Anyway, she said there's nothing's gonna happen over there either. She was able to hold that off. But are they still here? I mean, you guys, just let me know. What are they here? Are they in the
When you say here, Doc, you mean the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Not
the Bay Area.
The United States. You're talking specifically
but,
here.
yeah, they're in Chicago. They're in
Okay.
Los Angeles. I know they're deployed there.
Portland,
Portland.
Washington, D.C.
I don't know if they're in Portland. I don't know if they're in Portland and they're in a holding. Well, are they? But what do you know? And then, are they like just here waiting to be unleashed, or do they pull them back, or what do you know about that?
Okay, so I'm just going to take a step back so that we can provide a little bit of context to the conversation that you were talking about, right? So what was going to allegedly happen on the week of October 25th is we received credible reports that ICE was going to launch large-scale enforcement activity on Saturday, October 25th. But the statement that you were talking about, released by Mayor Lurie, where he had the conversation with President Trump, took place the night before, October 22nd. And essentially, Mayor Lurie had talked to him and said, we're doing everything that we can to make San Francisco as safe as possible. And any plans for militarized enforcement is going to hinder San Francisco's recovery, right?
Yeah.
So I do want to say that there is an ICE office in San Francisco. That's always been there on 630 Sansom Street. So if you
Okay.
ask, is ICE here? Yes, they are here, right? But I also want to emphasize that the point of communication and the main theme that I always want to spread when I speak out about ICE enforcement is we want to spread power, not panic, right?
Right.
Because ICE has always been here, right? And I said this on the last radio show that I was on, but I think it's really important to kind of just give the story because in the beginning of the year, my husband, who's not a practicing immigration attorney, he came over to me and he's like, oh, on the White House website, they're actually showing video of people being handcuffed and deported back to their home countries. And I said, that's always been happening. But the difference is now they're posting those videos on the White House website. So I do want people to take into account the fact that what you see on social media, what you see on the news, some of that has always been happening to some extent, right? But um, it's more prevalent now and more noticeable. And unfortunately, I think a lot of folks are um, the state of panic that we're in right now, I want to say that that fear is valid and it's real, but we also want to keep in mind that ICE has always been there. Um,
Okay.
so the most important thing that you have to do is know your rights and know what to do if you see an ICE agent in your community, and you know what to do if they knock on your door, and you know what to do if they approach you. So that's the most important thing. And to also take into context too that and I just have to say this because in addition to my practicing role as an immigration attorney, I'm a mom of two, and my older son is in second grade. There's a lot of unfortunately, I've heard reports of parents keeping their kids home from school, being afraid to drop them off, being afraid to pick them up, which is understandable, right? But just from my perspective, I actually haven't heard of uh, any raids taking place at elementary schools. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? So a raid, the definition of a raid is more than one person being detained, right? I actually haven't heard of even one person being detained at an elementary school. I also serve as the co-chair for the American Immigration Lawyers Association's Asian Interest Group. I hold a roundtable of immigration attorneys all around the nation, from the East Coast to the South to the Midwest. And I also recently asked, has anybody heard about raids or detentions happening at schools? And an attorney from Virginia stated, well, there was a rumor that somebody was detained at an elementary school, but it was actually at a gas station down the street from an elementary school. So the biggest thing that I want to emphasize is that we want to dispel rumors, right? We want to arm everybody with the information that they need to effectively respond to ICE if they see them in their communities, right? So
Okay.
know that ICE is there and they've always been there, right? But as long as you know what to do and what not to do and what to say, if you see an ICE agent in your community, or if you're approached by one, or if they come to your house, then that's the most important thing to focus on.
Hang
Because,
on, because I want to take some calls,
of
right, and get
course,
the
of course,
calls in because uh thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I
of
know
course.
you're ready. I know you got I knew you're ready. 877-955-1061. If you have any, if you like information, we're here to give you information. Like Monica says, Dennis will also chime in. If you have any questions, 877-955-1061. I found that statement up that the mayor said, and the mayor of Oakland, who, by the way, will be our guest next week. I just want to tell folks we're going to have Mayor Lee on next week. And she said as of last week that federal agent operations had been canceled for the entire Bay Area. That was the statement that she made. I'm just saying that was the statement. You can put the number out, 877-955-1061. I know one person in particular wanted to call in, and that was, he's probably listening. Supervisor Walton was going to call in. We can't call him. He has to call us. He said he was going to give us a call because he wanted to talk about what the city was doing when it came to this. So, Dennis, you want to jump in real quick before we begin the advice portion of this is really want to get out is information to people. Any opening statement you want to make?
Yeah, no, I just want to hop on with what Monica said about being ready. And so one of those things to being ready is knowing your rights. So if anybody listening, how you can be ready is, know your rights, your personal rights, but also know your rights as a protester, know your rights as a documenter. And then, having these things ready, you have to do something with it. And so the rapid response networks that are already established here in the Bay Area and the larger area here, those are useful, very useful, but you need to know how to use those. And so just the rapid response, right, is a hotline for reporting ICE. And you want to use that responsibly. So when you witness something, when you have verified information, and you have, know that you either saw it personally or you have verified information, then you call your rapid response network, and you have, the exact location, what happened, and how you confirm that. That's very important, is how you confirm that those were ICE agents. And so if you have the chance of asking them directly, if you see something happening, and asking the person that is doing the arrest what agency they are with, then if you have that chance to confirm it, then you should in that way. Sometimes they wear vests that say ICE. Sometimes they wear non-clothes that have we seen in a lot of videos that they're wearing, just different types of clothing. So you want to be able to confirm that. And once you call in the Rapid Response Network hotline, you want to be able to give out that information to them. That way they can document it and also document anybody that was arrested and get help to that person in any way that they can. So timely information, relevant information, and documenting anything as much as you can, photo, video, is a responsible way of witnessing and using that power of documentation and being able to use a Rapid Response Network, because those are the ways that we can continue to track these things, because like Monica said, they're not raids. They're not happening in ways that they're happening in Los Angeles or in South California. They're targeted attacks on individuals, and so they're happening very fast. And so we need to know how to document them and know when they're going to happen.
All right, 877-955-1061. You got any questions, thoughts? We got the folks here to answer them, especially the Know Your Rights part. Hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Go right ahead. Thanks for calling.
In self-deporting, what are the pros and cons? Because I imagine there could be some pros in self-deporting, but it must be a complicated issue where you at and all that.
Well,
what do you guys
we can
think?
get you some, see if we can get you some feedback on that. Did you hear what he said?
Couldn't hear all of it. Monica, were you able to hear it all?
Self-deporting. He asked, what are the, I think he said, advantages and or disadvantages of self-deporting. Sir, is that correct? I think that's what you said. He's gone. Okay. He said, it could be a complicated issue, but he's asking your thoughts.
So of course, I do have to give a legal disclaimer to state that the statements I'm going to make do not constitute legal advice. Everybody needs an individualized consultation, right? So I definitely do not recommend that you use the self-deportation app, which exists, without seeking the advice of an attorney. And I do want to call attention to the fact that Trump recently had an interview where he is stating that if people had entered illegally, we want to get them out. That's what Trump said. And then we could work with them to get them back in legally. But it's not that simple, right? Because immigration law is very complicated. So if you use the self-deportation app because you're afraid and let's say you're undocumented and you don't want to be detained, which is understandable because it's a horrific experience, and you want to leave on your own, then that's understandable, right? But in order for you to make that decision, it should be an informed decision, and you need to know if you leave and return back to your home country, if there will be a legal way for you to get back. And the reason why I want to emphasize this is because many folks might be subject to certain types of bars based on the accumulation of unlawful presence after April 1st, 1997. I'm getting into the technicalities. And then if you accumulated a certain amount of unlawful presence here, you left the United States and then re-entered illegally, then you may be subject to something called a permanent bar, which means that if you self-deport, you could be stuck outside the United States for a period of 10 years before even being able to immigrate back into the United States. So it's very complicated. I think that some members of the undocumented community are thinking about self-deportation really because they're scared about the environment that we're in right now. And which is understandable, but I highly urge anybody that's thinking about it to seek the advice of counsel, because everyone's case and individual situation is different. And you want to be able to know, if you make the choice to self-deport, what would be your options of coming back to the United States?
Thank you, Monica. Great question and great answer. 877-955-1061. Any questions you have about immigration? Any questions you have about ICE? And like Monica said, they're here. They're here. They're here. They're here. And you have seen, I'm sure, what has happened in Los Angeles. I'm sure you have seen what has happened in Chicago and what has happened in, I guess, Portland. I guess I'm not sure. You never know. So that's why we got the experts here. 877-955-1061. Please call. This is a great chance to get the truth or some good information. And we pride ourselves on giving good information, good advice, good example, good
Hey, Doc.
instruction. Yes, sir.
I had a question for our guests, both of you, Monica and Dennis, because you're tapped into, folks in the community. I'm just curious, if you can give some insight to, where folks are at, what kind of concerns people have right now, what the temperature is of the community or the pulse, pun intended, Dennis, of folks in the community right now, especially for our listeners who might not know or might not, it might not be in the front of their minds.
Well, I just have to say that for my son's elementary school, I went ahead and I organized, along with the group that I'm in, two Know Your Rights presentations to be available virtually in both English and Spanish to the members of our community. And I wanted to talk to staff and also to parents that are concerned about any detentions or ICE agents coming to the elementary school, right? And the thing is that one of the teachers that attended a Know Your Rights presentation said that she can see it on some of her students' faces. They're scared. And they're not necessarily scared that a detention will happen at school, but they're scared that something's going to happen to their parent while they're at school. And for this reason, we're trying to get out information not only about Know Your Rights, but also emphasizing that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Mm.
And in saying that, I'm also emphasizing that aside from knowing your rights, it's really important if you're undocumented to seek a consultation with a qualified immigration attorney. And within your county, you should be able to find nonprofit organizations that offer free or low cost consultations. And even if you had a consultation in the past and an attorney told you that you don't qualify for anything, it's so important to get a consultation based on your updated experiences. And also keep in mind that the laws might have changed since you last had a consultation. Or it's even possible that the last immigration attorney that provided you with a consultation and screened you for immigration relief, maybe they didn't ask you certain questions, and in fact, you do qualify for something such as a visa for victims of violent crime or a visa for victims of labor trafficking.
Mm.
So I really want to emphasize that again, the cure, I think, to feeling panicked and feeling scared and helpless is to become empowered by arming yourself with more knowledge, right? So, but that's how it's feeling in my community right now. There is a sense of panic, there is a sense of worry, and I'm trying to work with other parents at our school to kind of calm that down.
Thank you.
No, I feel that too, Monica, because one of the victories that I've seen is San Francisco's 100 Montgomery Street, is that it's been reported by Mission Local that they haven't had an arrest in 100 Montgomery for like 2-3 weeks, and then in 630 Sampson they haven't had an arrest for a month, is what I read on June or July, I'm sorry. So just the reason that is what happened is because people were coming out Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday to ICE watch, ICE patrol, right? So this is one of the things that I have seen, is that people are arming themselves with power, and that's through coming out in the streets. And so if you're undocumented, you definitely, you're not the one that's supposed to be out there. The ones that are supposed to be out there, in my opinion, are the ones that are not that are documented, that are, are citizens and are wanting to stick up for the community, and who say that, are going to fight for freedom for different people. And so those are the people that should be out there and showing up, and they have been, and so some of the victories in San Francisco of having less arrests in the courts, because that's where this is happening here in San Francisco, and the barriers are in the courts and in different places as well. So having a victory there, tells a lot about what people are feeling, and they're feeling resilient, and they're showing up every week. And so that's something that needs to continue happening. Somebody has to show up. And so apart from that, just creating, patrols within different areas. So one of the on Thursday, when ICE was supposed to be all over, the Bay Area, I went to work with my father, and he's a day laborer, and he was really worried about going to Home Depot, and so he literally asked me if I could go to work with him, and I've gone to work with him many times in the past, growing up, and so I always felt comfortable helping out my father, in one of the sites. And so, but this time it was, for him, it was more personal for me to be there and just be of support, and so that's what people need, is just support, just people being there. So if you don't got time to, be out there in the streets and, ICE watching, just visit somebody that that might, not be documented. Just give them support in some way or another, because I think that's all we're looking for.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. 877-955-1061. You have any questions, comments even on immigration, on ICE, give us a call. We got Monica Howell, we have Dennis Perez Bravo, as they say. Of course, this is now a dance, but in this case, boots on the ground with regard to these issues. They will give you what they know. I got into it with this. I get sucked in sometimes. Only on LinkedIn. I got into it with this person. Anytime we get a call, we'll take it. Okay. 877-955-1061. And I got into this thing. She was all ice. And I was saying, and I was saying, but look, it ain't just. There's a lot of collateral. I call it collateral damage. And I try to explain what happened in Chicago when they went into this housing, and they pulled all these black residents out, and they zip tied this little girl, and I said, "What? Are you cool with that?" I said, "You cool with that?" And she said, "Well, you trying to paint me as a racist?" No, I'm just asking a question, And of course, so in the we went back and forth, and she claimed I was trying to. I just said, "Look, are you cool with that? Yes or no?" And in the end, she must have been, because all she said was, "I support ICE." Right. So it seems like they have fused ICE and Malcolm X, ICE by any means necessary, because the stuff that's happening, we can comment on. I got a whole bunch of articles here. It's crazy. But I want to go back to that Supreme Court decision about the wording was crazy, Mike. It was like, if you're a day laborer, if you speak Spanish, if you have brown skin, if you don't make X amount of dollars. I was on the police commission for years. And the one thing we tried to eliminate, was racial profiling, right? And I'm sure you guys know about that. And I was really shocked to be like, anybody just cast a net. The net was so wide that did that surprise you guys, or you just did it was like, wait a minute, I thought racial profiling was no. But I shouldn't really be surprised by anything that's going on with this administration.
Right.
But if you're standing on the street, if that was I still can't how they just
Dr. Marshall, I think it's
go ahead.
I think it's part of the plot, you know what I mean? Like for example, I think you were talking about Palantir. I heard something about Palantir in the section before. But all this mass surveillance that's happening, for example, Palantir, big company that's creating a mass surveillance against immigrants, right? Immigration OS, it's got money funded by the government to create a surveillance on immigrants. But it's not just only for immigrants, it's for everybody, right? At the end of the day, it's going to be for everybody. But they got to start with somebody, right? And so I think to wherever it's heading, mass surveillance or mass militarization, mass policing that's going to happen, it's starting with immigrants. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they wanted to bring back racial profiling because they got to bring it back to continue on course in white supremacist, a rhetoric that is being spitted out by our government right now. They have a course in mass surveilling and mass militarization and mass incarceration of one group towards, to get to another group is definitely the path that I see that they're heading to.
So just to also comment on that, the specific Supreme Court decision that you're referring to is called Vasquez Perdomo versus Noem, just in case anybody is listening and wants to read through this Supreme Court decision. And I do just want to say that, in light of the Supreme Court decision, we still want to emphasize the basic know your rights, right? So if you are stopped on the street by an ICE agent, you should say nothing. You should exercise your right to remain silent. If somebody approaches me on the street and says, "Are you Monica?" I'm not even going to nod my head yes, right? So you can state, I refuse to provide any information without the presence of an attorney. I'm not going to provide any information. If you don't provide any information about your country of birth, about your lawful status, about your name, then they don't have grounds to detain you, right? So I know that that's easier said than done because it can be tricky even to know who an ICE agent is because sometimes they wear black windbreaker jackets that say police. So ask for a badge. And if you are at home, definitely, I just want to get this information out there, and an ICE agent knocks on your door, don't open the door. Ask if they have a warrant. If they have a warrant, ask them to slip it under the door. Review the warrant. If it's not a judicial warrant, which means it's not signed by a judge, it's likely an administrative warrant that's issued by ICE. Go ahead and take a photo of it and then slip it back under the door and refuse to open the door
I
because
am
that's
writing all this down, so I'm trying to keep up with you, right?
right. So another thing too, if it's a judicial warrant and if it's signed by a judge, double check the name, double check the address. If the name or the address is spelled incorrectly, or if the person's name, there's nobody in the house that lives there, slip it back under the door.
Mike,
And
hold on one sec. We got a call, so
okay.
we'll come back to all of this because I'm writing this down. All right. You're on Street Soldiers. Go right ahead. We're talking about ICE and immigration. Your thought, your question, or go ahead. You there? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead. You're on.
Is this 1061?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is. What do you want to ask or say? Or, we're talking about ICE and immigration. You got anything? No? Huh? No. We're not playing songs right now. Okay. Let's do something just a little more serious. I got say nothing. I got don't open the door. I got ask for a warrant. I slip it under and then slip it under the door. Now, and listen, and I'm saying this because I'm thinking of the police. Really, this is the stuff I work so hard to get the cops to do, right? To do police accountability and reform, right? It was something that, was swept in a lot of jurisdictions. And here, this is basically the same stuff. So I got to say nothing, don't open the door, ask for a warrant, slip it under the door. Can you pick up from there? Because again, I'm writing it down.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So even if so let's say that they slipped the warrant under the door and it is a judicial warrant. It has your name spelled correctly, it has the address. Then step outside, close the door behind you so that you're not giving ICE permission to enter the home and search the premises. And even if you are detained by ICE, I recommend exercise your right to remain silent and request that you be able to speak to an attorney because any information that you provide to ICE, it could be used against you, right? So also remember that you shouldn't sign any documents without having an attorney review it for you. And so if you are detained, whether it be on the street or if they came to your home and you're detained at your home, then you do have a right to a phone call. So if you're already represented by an attorney, you should call the attorney that's representing you. If not, you should call a trusted family member who can arrange for you to speak to an attorney. And like Dennis had mentioned, the rapid response hotline, not only is it a 24/7 hotline, but it also involves attorney activation. So if you don't have the resources to pay for private counsel, you can call the Rapid Response Network. There's one in every major Bay Area county in Northern California. The if you look on the website for the California Collaborative for Immigrant Justice, they will have all of the respective numbers for each county, San Mateo, Marin, Alameda. The one for San Francisco is 415-200-1548. In addition to English, they have language capacity in Spanish, Cantonese, and Arabic as well. So be sure to call the Rapid Response Network then if you're not represented by counsel or your family member can call, because in addition to the hotline, what will happen is a staff member from the Rapid Response Network will activate the attorney network and send an attorney to 630 Sansom Street, which is the ICE processing center, and provide free advice to you if you are detained. So it's just really important to keep these things in mind. Another thing that you might want to do if you want to be extra prepared, if you have children, just make sure that your emergency contacts are updated at your children's school if anything were to happen in that case as well. So the more prepared you are, the more informed you are about the different resources that you have access to. the better if in case you are approached by ICE or if you're detained by ICE.
And these are all your RIGHTS, right? These are your
Right.
right. All right. All right. You're on with Monica and Dennis. Hi. Turn your radio down because I got feedback, but you are on. Go right ahead.
Okay, just talking about, it's okay to be here, It's horrible that they think that everybody's a criminal, but it's not like that.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. We got a couple minutes. If you got a question, here it is. Bring it. 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. I do want to say that you back. All right. You're on.
They think
Hello?
everybody
Yes.
thinks
Yeah, turn your radio.
Turn your
down.
radio down. Yes. Go right ahead. We got you.
Hey, I just thank you so much for the information. I think a lot of that I was aware of, but I do just have a question. What do you do if you get stopped and you're in your car? Because that's something I'm still confused about, and just how folks should respond.
Great question. Monica?
you're-
Uh-huh.
If you're in your car and it's an ICE agent that's stopping you, you should still refuse to provide any information. So you should say, I'm not providing any information without the presence of an attorney, if it's an ICE agent. So don't get out. The Immigrant Legal Resource Center, they have these really helpful red cards. If they ask you to get out your ID, for example, then go ahead and pass them a red card, which literally states in English on one side and Spanish on the other side that you are exercising your right to remain silent. Because again, if an ICE agent cannot identify you by name, country of origin, they don't know your lawful status, they don't have the right to detain you. So that's the most powerful thing that you could do is exercise your right to remain silent, even if you're pulled over.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We are going to continue the conversation right now. You can head on over to YouTube Live at Stay Alive and Free, and always take us on the go when you visit stayaliveandfree.org.
We'll be back. Hour number two, Alive and Free Street Soldiers Radio. Our conversation tonight is about immigration and ICE. And I gotta say, our guests are just magnificent. They are on the ground. We're joined by Dennis Perez Bravo and Monica Howell. And Monica, I'm telling you and Dennis, you are saints, good Samaritans, or you're human. That's what I call it. You're human. You're human. You're human.
Human.
And what was so great about all of this information you gave, and you heard the people calling in, listening and calling in, is you're just telling people just to know your rights. Yeah, you're right. This is your right to do this. Okay. You know, the fact that you are exercising your rights. And I love everything that you said. I wrote it down. I wrote it down so I can repeat it to others. And just thank you. We'll do that again. I want to spend a little more time by this phrase I use, ICE by any means necessary. And I listen, I'm gonna just read a couple things. All right. Some headlines reveal ICE violates its own policy by holding people in secretive room for days or weeks. I saw this headline. I'm not even gonna go through what it says. ICE camouflaging cars and swapping license plates.
Whoa.
Yeah, you heard that one in? You hear that one? You hear that one? How agents make immigration arrests. I'm sorry. An American teen choked by ICE agents on his way to school in a shocking mix-up.
Wow.
Okay. An Army vet who says he was wrongfully detained by ICE. All right. A toddler left in back seat as ICE redefines, and then they call it the headlines, redefines collateral damage. Listen to this one, man. A white man, age 66, came home from a competitive race. ICE asked him to move his car. He didn't move fast enough. They took him down and kneeled on his chest and broke 6 ribs. So these people around here thinking, this is a clean operation. It ain't clean. It ain't even close. They break in as far as I can see. Now, y'all can call and tell me, oh, Mark, you wrong. Those people told me, I see, they're just trying to do. No. It's open season on anybody. And apparently they don't care how they get it, how they do it. The housing project in Chicago, I mean, I don't know if it's a project, it's an apartment complex. I remember that vividly. I read everything. The residents were roused from their beds at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and it was primarily a black complex. Took them down, put them on the sidewalk, kept them down there for hours. I do remember that they zip tied some little 6-year-old girl. So this sounds to me, correct me if I'm just like a police state. That's what it sounds like to me. And so
I got one for you. It's a press release from the California Collaborative, CCIJ. It says prison guards contracted by ICE retaliate against immigrants for protesting abuse and neglect inside New California City Immigration Detention Center. So that's a new one that they're building here in California, I believe. So California City, California. Immigrants who lodged protests last night inside California City Immigration Detention Center are already facing retaliation from guards with private prison company CoreCivic that operates the facility for ICE. So this was in September 19th, 2025. So yesterday, over 100 immigrants detained at the California City ICE Detention Center launched a peaceful collective action, including sit-ins and meal refusals, to protest severe abuse and neglect. Immigrants in one cell reported officers entered in riot gear and were threatening use of force if the detained people peacefully engaged in a sit-down and did not return to their cells. At least one housing unit reported being placed on a multi-day lockdown. No access to telephones, which violates the First Amendment and First Amendment due process rights. And furthermore, 4 individuals across multiple pods were handcuffed and taken to solitary confinement. One individual requested toilet paper from CoreCivic officers and was denied because he was on a hunger strike. This was in California City. And this is not Chicago. This is us right here.
Yeah. This is insane. It's crazy. As far as I'm concerned, it's unconstitutional. It's a reign of terror. It's been and it's not. Some people, well, they're out protest, but this stuff ain't happening. People ain't protest. They ain't protesting. They just sleep. Yeah. And I get this. So what's the rationale for them being? There is no rationale when it comes to this, but they ain't masked. And you gotta think, Monica. I'm really being involved because I was on the police commission from 2004 to 2018, and we had a really bad incident in the city, the shooting of Mario Woods, which led to a ton of police accountability reform. And all we did was, we did things like de-escalate, body camera, everything, right? And this was the police.
Wow.
Apparently none of this applies to them, right? Can you imagine? In fact, it was because of all the abuse that police were doing that, where is it? I'm gonna hold it up. That this became so damn important, right? Because, you know how many times they would come to the cell phone. It would come in and they would say, well, it's the officer's word versus your word. Well, you know how that went, and I know how that went. So people had to get out their phones to verify what they actually saw. Yeah. And so it self-reporting phones and actual pictures, they're unchecked. They're unchecked. So what's with the mask thing? Can somebody?
Yeah, how is that legal?
We're not talking about legal. Apparently, nothing. Everything, anything goes. That's why I'm saying. And this should be an affront to everyone. Everyone. When you got rogues, and I call them rogue officers who have no. I don't know. It seems to me they operate with impunity. They aren't reined in. And that's why more than any it's so important, Monica and Dennis, that people do know their rights, because it doesn't seem like there's anything between them and what these folks want to do. Am I just a little?
So I'm glad that you're bringing this up because when I talk about how everybody in the country has rights, whether you're documented or not, you also have the right to not get physically abused. So let's make that very clear, right? So what we're seeing, of course, it's illegal, being slammed onto the ground, physically assaulted. And Dennis had mentioned it earlier. If you witness that during a detention, in addition to calling the rapid response hotline, when the staff worker is on the way to verify the detention or ICE activity or raid that just occurred, please get out your phone, take photos, and record what's happening, right? Because if somebody is getting physically assaulted by an ICE agent, you want to go ahead and share that recording or photo with the staff worker from the rapid response network that gets there, right? Because if we look down the line, if because of that physical abuse, the person who is detained discloses information about themselves that can be self-incriminating, such as having a prior removal order, being in the country unlawfully, we as attorneys then can use that as grounds to file a motion to suppress, right? Which means that those statements that were made under duress and because of the physical abuse that they suffered, they can be thrown out, right? So it's really important. Again, knowledge, knowing if these things happen, they're not your fault. It's illegal, yes. Document it and share it with the staff worker that gets there from the Rapid Response Network, or share it with an attorney that you hire, an attorney that you've already hired, and then we can use that to file a motion to suppress. So I agree with you. It's deplorable. And I don't know exactly why they're going around with masks on their face. Um, Police officers don't do it. So
Nope.
I, I would imagine, possibly they're afraid of retaliation, maybe, but I'm not really sure.
I look, they got the guns. I don't know who they were. Anyway, that's a weak argument to me. And it goes against the history of law enforcement and police reform that we've tried to do so much in the last few years, going back to, Michael Brown, and Ferguson. We all know the cases, right? And I've even heard police say, "Man, what they doing is crazy." I mean, cops have said that to me, right? Ain't no way we would get away with that. And I'm telling you, Dennis, you want to comment on that? Because the whole thing just makes me outraged at the impunity with which they are going about what they are doing.
No, I think the retaliation part is, key into what's happening. I think ICE agents are in itself, and it's kind of, it's un it's not a good work environment, and when you have people not really, wanting to put their face out there, it's because of the retaliation. And I've seen, a lot of videos, of people trying to make out the face of the ICE agents, through AI, and so that's, a trend that's very popular among, different sites and stuff that where people are trying to just get information of ICE agents out. And I think it's part of, history is gonna time will tell, because you have this amount of people that are on this side, on this police, force, on this force, and their names will eventually, come out, and so this is how you had all these people, in World War II and after, and all these people that committed crimes. They are committed crimes, and right now they're okay. They have, impunity, but time, time erases all that.
I saw this story where people are actually, leave the house. I got my driver's license, right? That might be. I don't think that would mean anything, right? Because you know, I could be hauled away and put in, for 5 days before they even look to see if I got a driver's license. But people are taking their driver's license, their passports with them, everything to show,
Yeah.
because they're not, in a lot of these cases, they aren't checking. They aren't even looking. They're rounding up.
Wow.
And forgive me, folks. You people say, Dr. Marshall, sometimes you put too much on it. But see, my mind, my history, it goes back to the slave catchers.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you just go and you round folks up. They don't even ask you, and you might be free. Maybe your papers, maybe you bought your freedom, maybe you just got away to the north. This is so much like that to me that it's a reign of terror as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's a reign of terror, And that's why it's all you got. The only chance we have right now is folks knowing their rights and exercising their rights, because they seem to have, you know, the right to do whatever they want, the right to do whatever they want. Um, I I don't know how, if I knew how to get out of this, I would. If I knew how to get out of this, I would. I really would. Keep the reporting, keep going, letting people know. Um, and then let me just say, there are a lot of people. I've seen a lot of veterans that say, I went to this, I fought for my brother, you know, who fought in this country, and I didn't fight for this. I didn't fight for this. I didn't fight for this. There is a lot of groundswell for this is not cool at all. And it's just sickening to me. And, you know, Monica and Dennis, sometimes people say, well, I didn't really, I didn't know it was bad. I never got it, you know, until it happened to me. No, you should get it when it happens, period. Right? Get it. Because what did Dr. King say? Injustice to anyone, everywhere is a threat, to anywhere is a threat to, I can't get it right, but you know what I'm saying, to justice everywhere. I never have liked that, or I really didn't. Now I get it because it happened in my neighborhood. Now I get it because it happened in my community. Now I get it because it happened to me. No, you're supposed to get it, because if it can happen to them, it is going to happen to you. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. So I'm on my rant. Y'all can go on yours, you know. But it's just, you know, I just admire both of you for being out there trying to save people. We're just trying to save people. And right now we're in this.
Since you're talking about veterans, I have a story from on Thursday, when ICE agents were some Coast Guard or some agents entered the Coast Guard island in Alameda. But I met this woman by the name of Vicky. She's a Meal on Wheels volunteer. But she was old. She was around in late 70s, and she was telling me that her husband had died a week or two prior. He had been an astronaut and served in the war. And as he was dying, he told her, "Vicky, they're knocking at freedom's door. They're knocking, and they're knocking hard." You know, and she was telling me as she was crying, you know, like a man that, you know, had served this country, I had married her, and they lived a life together, you know, him fighting for freedom, fighting for this, and, you know, she's now moving on with her life without him, and everything that he had fought for is now being resurged, and she's kind of having that, carrying that passion for freedom that her husband had forward when she shouldn't. You know, I think their lives and their what they fought for, they've already fought for it. They've already done it. Like, he's an astronaut, he's a war veteran, and yet he's on his deathbed saying that, you know, it's happening again. And it's happening again, you know. And so uh I think that's for the veterans that are listening and everything, um those that feel like it's happening again, you know, let us know. Tell us, young people, whoever, you know, that's listening, you know, let us know in any way that you can, because there's some young people that are listening and will listen and want to know, you know, how you went through it and what you did, and how you know, you kept going. So that's my thing on veterans and them feeling it, because I think they feel it. They really feel it right now.
I was on a panel, both of you, recently at my university, uh, and it's funny because, number one, I graduated a million years ago, but you know, it was actually 100 years celebration of the College of Liberal Arts. This is University of San Francisco, and you know, there's been a lot of graduates of that that college, but they asked me to be on one of the four to be on the panel, and it was a panel about not only the graduates but about change makers. And you know, Ann knows, you know, we founded, I was part of the student group that founded the BSU at my school at USF. I was the first Black Student Union president, and I'm 21. I mean, I'm 19 years old. I'm 20 years old. So you know, this whole activism thing been with me.
Yes.
And I know some activists went on to become you know, titans in corporate America. I didn't. When that stuff is in you, is in you. And one of the things they asked was, you know, well, how do we make change? And you know, I said, my best thing is study people who made change in the past.
Yeah.
Study those people. Study. And I brought up the name of Diane Nash. Well, they know who Diane was. I said, you know, Diane was, she was a 20-year-old Fisk University student who joined the Freedom Riders and went into the South. And those people were fearless, fearless. So, and they were young people, you know. So if you want to know how to do it or how they did it, then you got to study people who did it before. I mean, for me, I'm a product of the civil rights movement, so I ain't got no problem. I'm plugged in. I've been plugged in since I was a kid. But and a lot of the things that, you know, the beat downs, all of that was all part of that. We've seen it, it's all documented, so on and so forth. Yeah. But the belief that things must change and will change and we will not be moved and we shall overcome. Yeah. You have to study those folks. Yeah. Because it's you know, and you both of you are, and like I'm thinking of the lawyers that we had at that time, you know, from, you know, this Clarence Jones, who was Dr. King's lawyer. Yeah. He's a lawyer and he gave advice to Dr. King for, you know, in the resistance. Yeah. So there's a part for all of us to play in that. But the best thing to do, I told them, everybody go home, go get the documentary Freedom Riders and watch them go into the South on a bus without any protection, signing their last will and testament, and say, you know, I'm probably going, if I die, I'm going to die for doing the right thing. Yeah. So I really admire both of you and the fire that you have in the face of this, I'll call it tyranny, I'll call it terror, I'll call it, you know, a police state. And just thank you for doing what you do. I really do. And I'm saying that with all love and admiration, because it's not so much that, you know, I know I'm on a dossier somewhere. Anything you two can jump in now, because I'm on my soapbox. Because
But I just want to say thank you so much for having us on the show, because you're doing your part, right? Because you're giving us the opportunity to share the knowledge that we know about protesters' rights, about know your rights if you're approached by ICE, and all of this is really important, right? And I just wanted to say that everybody has their part in this, you know. I actually had a meeting with my colleagues within the law office last week, and one of my colleagues was saying, you know, she's an attorney like me, and you know, she feels so much hope and so much pride watching the protesters protest about what's going on. And you know, when on the week of the 25th, when there was news of a large federal deployment and news of a large scale ICE enforcement going to happen that weekend, protesters showed up on the front lines. And we were all in the office, you know, doing our work, you know, like filling out forms, providing advice to clients. So it's kind of like we were doing our job like in our lane, and the protesters were showing up in their lane too. So everybody has a part in it. And me, as the mom of two young kids, I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. One of my other colleagues, who's a paralegal at the office, she pointed out, even if you're not protesting, even if you're not in the court, even if you're raising your kids and you're talking to them about what's going on and you're educating them about what's happening right now, you're raising them to be empathetic people, and to understand, you know, that everybody has rights in the country. You know, you're doing your part too. You don't, and there's no reason for anybody to feel bad about not being on the streets, or like, you know, not doing this. Like, as long as you're doing your part, then feel good about that, right? Because all of us have a part in this. Even if you're listening right now and you heard something interesting and you share it with a friend, you know, that knowledge and that information can be spread to another person, and that could save someone's life. That could save somebody from getting deported, right? So everybody has a part in this.
I appreciate that.
Dennis, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I
Let
just
me
want
say
to.
about you being out there. I'm gonna call you a war correspondent. Being out there, much love. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. I just want to give some quick shout outs to some organizations that I've seen through my reporting. yeah, in the East County, United Latino Voices of Contra Costa County. They've been out in the community way before this started, but as they have seen things happen in Concord and in East County, they've also set up a Concord Immigrant Protection Network. That's you can follow them on Instagram at Concord Immigrant PN. And so they're giving out information of what's happening out in the East County, Antioch, Pittsburgh area. So if you live around those areas and you want to get more informed and don't already follow them, United Latino Voices of Contra Costa County and Concord Immigrant Protection Network. Here in Richmond, and we have Reimagine Richmond, and they've created the Immigrant Solidarity Fund, where recipients can get $250 for financial needs. You just got to fill out their form. But if anybody here in Richmond and is listening, they need assistance, any immigrant families are going through it, you could fill out that form and request $250. And the city of Richmond has actually allocated millions of dollars for immigrant families, and they've identified 3 organizations that are going to help them out with that, and that's Catholic Charities of East Bay. They're going to receive money, and they're going to be helping out with legal services and outreach. The Multicultural Institute will receive $130,000, and they're going to focus on public awareness and outreach. And the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant is going to receive money as well to legal services, defense. And so this was reported by Richmond side. And then East Bay Community Foundation is also putting money out there into the community, and they supported 10 organizations. And so you can donate to them at ebcf.org. And so if you don't have the time, you don't have, the capabilities of being out there in the community or anything, but you do have financial, are financially stable, then, you should definitely find out which community groups are helping out and which are making the biggest difference, and you help them out. And so you're helping the community directly as well. So that's why I wanted to shout out some of the community organizations that I've seen. There's many more, there's a lot more, but those are the ones that I've seen that I've taken photos of and just been out there. And so that's wanted to shout them out. And so I think as we are going through this, we saw 2020 as a renaissance of activism and people finding their passion, legal resources, and just being out there and being part of it and playing their part. And so I think this is another era in the world in our lifetime where it's time, it's time to lock in and time to tap into your organization. And if I've always seen and heard people say, if you don't like any other organizations by you, or don't like any community groups by you, then make your own, And so that's what life is about. So yeah, so thank you for all the community organizations, especially the ones that have helped me out in my reporting. So, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank both of you. Thank
Yeah.
both of you. Thanks for spending this time with us, getting this information out. It's invaluable. I just admire you so much, and let's just keep on keeping on taking care of the people. All right, because the goal is, what's this say? Alive and free. Alive and free. Okay. All right. Good night, both of you.